I got some observations about the game last night, and then I'm going to go deeper. I'll go way deep. So let's start out with the game last night. And I'm not telling you anything different. You watched the same game I did. This team is just not well coached. They are not well drilled. They are not buttoned down in any area 12 plus weeks into a season of NFL football. Now, how is that possible? Well, I really don't know, other than you have an incompetency in this coaching staff and at every other level. I mean, you just look at what happened last night and the mistakes that happened. The undisciplined play early. The Malik Jackson thing. I'm going, what is wrong? Is this team coached at all? The mistakes that they made, the quarterback not being rolled out, that fact that they didn't kick that field goal. I mean, you can go on and on and on about the disconnect on how this team is coached. They just aren't coached well. Now, the 1st and 5 sequence told you all you needed to know, did it not? They opened the game getting a break. They're 1st and 5. Does a well-coached team throw 3 passes there? I don't know. Maybe it's me. All right? Does it look like they have any idea that they're going to take advantage of a situation where they got a 1st and short? They go on for 5 more series, 3 and out. Did it look to you like they had any idea, this offensive staff, this coach, on how to call a game? It's almost impossible to go 5 straight series, 3 and out. It's just impossible. The same thing happens every week where they don't get the guy out of the pocket. He's getting swallowed on every drop back. Every drop, he's getting swallowed. The pocket is collapsing. It's going. Like, I'm not saying he's playing well, because he's missing guys, and the whole thing happens. And until they went up tempo, they didn't get any kind of maneuverability at all. So, and then I'm looking at the demeanor last night of the head coach. Not only is he not in charge, but he's not capable of being in charge. And that's the worst double whammy you could possibly have. And then his demeanor after the game was like, I don't really care. I mean, you watch the same right after the game. You watch his demeanor. It feel like, it's not a, it's not a big deal to me. Meanwhile, fans are pulling their earlobes off in frustration with this team, and he's like, So maybe he doesn't care if he gets fired. He still gets paid. I don't know. So now let's go deeper. And here's the word that comes to my mind. Unqualified. The coach is unqualified. The general manager is unqualified. And the owner is only qualified because he put the money up. He is an unqualified owner. Now let me start with the coach. He's not even bright enough to realize that his kingdom is disintegrating. You heard the press conference today, and we're going to play excerpts from it. He seems oblivious to the fact that this thing in front of him on his watch is disintegrating. He sees nothing wrong with his play calling. And in fact, feigned some kind of hurt, some kind of emotional hurt when he was asked about, would you consider giving up play calling to someone else? He actually thinks he's doing an okay job. The rollouts that he doesn't use for Wentz, not kicking the field goal, is about 10th on the list. If you look at the game, you want to list everything. Everybody's up in arms. He didn't kick the field goal there. Yeah, I get it. He should have kicked the field goal. It's foolish not to get 3 there, especially in a 4th and 4 situation. If it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, it's different. 4th and 4, you take the 3. And you hope you can get back down there. But that's like 10th on the list if you watched the game last night. The whole thing is disintegrating before you get to one decision that he failed to make. Let's go with the GM, because everybody's thinking the same thing. Unqualified. Yes, I said it. I have finally come to the conclusion after I've been backing off on this because they did win a Super Bowl and they did something right. It is clear to me that this general manager is totally unqualified for this position. Why is he unqualified? Because he does not have the ability to recognize who can play football. And that's the most fundamental thing that a general manager has to have. Yeah, he's got scouts. He's got people giving him feedback. At the end of the day, he's got to use his own eyeballs and his own feel to figure out who can play. Where would this guy get a feel? Where would he get a feel? He's worked in a couple front offices. Where? Has he been on the road scouting like guys that have done it for years? Did he play any sport ever in his life? Has he ever played football? Has he ever been coached at any level to recognize what makes a player valuable? Absolutely not. And so we get bad second-round picks like Sidney Jones and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And then he takes a quarterback with the second pick in last year's draft, and they have no reason or idea or explanation on why they took that guy there. Unqualified. And he takes a guy this year. Now, listen, I know it's young in his career. Does Jalen Reagor look like he could play? Does Jalen Reagor look like he has anything? Now, that may surface down the road. I'm looking at him now. I go, he has no idea how to play. He's a pick that they took instead of a guy who's one of the best receivers in the league. He's a guy they took instead of trading up a couple spots to get another guy who could play. Do they recognize that those two guys could play and that this guy couldn't? Why would he? Where is his feel? Unqualified. And now we get to the owner. This is under the watch of an owner, and I've said it yesterday, who has never learned a road on what makes a company successful. Never at any level. Except that maybe when he was a kid, he saw his mother's empire. On his own, he has never handled any qualified company where he had to make decisions that was failure or success. Because while he makes decisions on movies, and they're bad movies, he's not financially ruined. When he makes a bad decision on a football team and hires people who are incompetent, he doesn't suffer because he still turns over cash and his asset goes way up. He's not accountable for anything. This whole regime is unqualified. And the people who suffer are the people who watched the game last night and hope and pray that they actually have a viable sport that could take them away from the pressures of real life. And these people who run this franchise are bare-ass naked, emperors with no clothes. That's all I got to say as we start this show.
That was good open, Mike.
Yeah, strong.